Hey there, Roger here. Taking a look at change blockers, the things that get in the way of us setting goals, taking action, enjoying success. Now, one of the significant blockers, I think, is other people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, we're all surrounded by other people all the time, whether that's family or friends or bosses or colleagues, and they all might have our best interest at heart. They might think that it's important that we stay the same and give them what they need, the results that they like, the things that put a smile on their face and make their life easier. And that's perfectly understandable. But doing that, of course, can take us away from the path that we're destined to go down, because we've got a certain set of skills, because we've got a way of looking at the world, because we're enthusiastic about changing our own situation, as well as benefiting other people. So those other people that I was referring to, family, friends, etc., can be important and influential. And when they are, and they've got a lot to say about the sorts of ways that we can be in their world, that can seep into us and almost reduce our capacity to set goals, take action, and enjoy success. These people needn't sit around and talk about us, but sometimes that conversation will be around the dining table, or it might be at work, back when we're in work mode. And it can sort of say, you know what, I really like the thing you're doing now, and I see you doing that in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. I don't see you changing. And that can be really dampening for any ambition or any thought we might have of going on to do different things for different people. So let's dig in a little bit further to the way other people can influence us and how we might need to think a little bit differently in order to push back against other people's influences so that we can make some goals, take some action, and enjoy some real powerful change. So, in looking at this area, I was thinking about some of the powerful influences we have in our lives. And in researching the topic, I came up with this really useful contribution from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She was a therapist who worked with people who were towards the end of their lives, some of them terminally ill. And so they were in reflective mode. They were thinking about all the roads they'd gone down, all the decisions they had taken, all the opportunities they hadn't followed up on. And what she determined, having done all the research and listened to so many of these interviews, was that people were, when they were reflecting, looking at the influence that their families had had or other people had had on the decisions that they'd made. And what she determined was that the opinion which other people have of us is their problem. It's really not ours. Because if we allow ourselves to be very narrowly defined by other people's views of what's appropriate for us and the sorts of things we should be doing because we come from this family or that neighborhood or that community, we can be shutting down so many different roads, closing so many doors, that we end up sitting in a place that really doesn't make us happy and doesn't serve the people who should be in our lives, because we've got certain skills, a certain confidence, a certain outlook that's much, much bigger than where we are located right now. So I guess we need to think about that if we're going to make change happen in our lives, because it's bound to ruffle some feathers and make some of the people in our world look a bit askance at what we're doing and kind of, be a bit uncomfortable. And so we need to be ready for that and to have our own inner world lined up so that we're not just comfortable with it, but positive about it, even if others are pushing back against us. So that was one of the thoughts that I had. The other one I had was about Steve Jobs. Now, there was someone who's left their mark on the world. I mean, we all know about Apple and the different products and stuff. Perhaps you've got an iPhone or an iPad. But when he was talking to the commencement class at Stanford about 14 years ago, I think it was now, 2006, he made several profound comments in that commencement speech, which you can find on YouTube if you want. Maybe there's a link at the end. What he said was that, amongst other things, our time is limited, and so we shouldn't waste it living someone else's life. So this is almost the flip side of what Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was noting, that we, at the beginning of our lives, in our early 20s, never mind at the point of being 60, 70, 80 years old, or however we are when we're looking backwards, at the beginning of our life, we shouldn't waste time being confined by somebody else's frame and trying to fit into it. We should be as big and as bold and as inspired and inspiring as we possibly can be, because we've got our own sense of ourself, and we know it on an instinctive level, on our gut level almost. We don't have to think about it. We just know the things that are right for us. That's something else he went on to say. Now, the extra bit of poignancy in Steve Jobs' comments at that commencement speech, well, he knew he was dying at that point. He knew that his days ahead were fewer in number than the days behind. But he'd already lived an extraordinary life, and he knew that he was going to leave his mark on the world, and goodness knows he has done. But again, as with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, what we're thinking about with Steve Jobs is, why live a small life and a constrained one when the life we could live is bigger and bolder and more expressive and touches more people in a positive way than if we'd sat in that chair and done exactly what we were told because that was really important to somebody else. So quite a lot to think about in a short space of time, I appreciate. But it kind of leaves us with a couple of questions, really, if that's firing all sorts of thoughts in your head and inspiring you at this point in the year when you're thinking about goals and change. So what's our next move? How are we going to record that, write it down, make sure it's specific and it's got some time frame around it, and it's got a degree of achievability in there and realism? And as we progress, how are we going to keep others informed and updated as we're progressing? And those are the people who aren't just influential, but are actually important to us, because we want, on some level, to reassure them that we're doing the right thing, that it's working, and hey, look, here are the benefits, and we can show them. It's not like we have to persuade them or get them to change their mind. They might keep their minds set, but at least we are keeping that communication going. And also, it's a great way of reflecting back that we're on our path, and our path is the right one because it's working. So, like I say, drop into experienceyourlife.me, or me, if you prefer. If you like this, leave a like, that helps. If you want to share it, that's good. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, because you're going to get more content along these lines to help you learn and change and grow, then that will be wonderful too. I'll see you on the next video, and hey, have a good one. Cheers.